Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. I'm back with another video. This one's going to be done in a slightly different style today. I recently took part in a playtest for a new release for Splitgate 2's Arena mode. This was very exciting for me as I got an invite from a friend. I was not expecting to be a part of it, and it was a very eye-opening experience. Um, with that, I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to talk about three particular topics in this video today. I'm going to tell you what they changed as far as the test was concerned, whether or not they plan to keep those changes permanent or not, whether they told us that or not. Um, because they did in certain instances, if you the patch notes related to what they're doing. They did say that some changes were temporary while some were permanent. Um, we're going to talk about um, whether I feel those changes are good or bad for the game, and then in closing, we're going to talk about uh, whether or not the game is going to be right for you in terms of coming back to giving it a shot, playing it, um, what it's going to mean for you, what it's going to feel like, what it's going to look like, and whether this game has a chance to survive long term. Because when it first released, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Um, I thought that only a few things needed to be changed, and I thought that rolling back to a beta form was a little bit of an overkill, to be honest. Um, I thought that there would be a way to change certain things on a minimal scale and keep the individuality that Splitgate 2 brought at its heart, because it's different. When it came out, it was different. And you're going to hear that phrase a lot when it came out, when it was released. You're going to hear those two phrases in the video a lot, guys. So I apologize if it sounds a little bit like a broken record, but I'm going to come back to that phrase quite a bit, and you'll see why, um, or hear why in the video, regardless. The fact is, I didn't expect them to do as much as they did, um, but they had a plan. It's clear that they had a consolidation plan, that they felt like they took on too much, and they felt like they needed to put their eggs into one basket rather than into, say, three baskets. Which, as somebody who's dealt with a similar problem before in a different way, I can understand. But with that, we're going to get into the stuff that they changed, why they changed it, and what it means for the player base going forward. First, they've added back at least three Splitgate 1 maps, which are beautiful maps. They are fantastic. They plan on adding an arena ranked mode progression system. Can't talk this morning. It's about 5:45 a.m. I can't sleep, so please excuse me if I trip over my words. But they're going to add a ranked mode and progression system, which they did not have before. I find that to be a big deal. Um, they're going to add four weapons, four heavy weapons, three of which are primary heavy machine guns, and one is a railgun. Um, they didn't make any particular changes to the movement mechanics or the time to kill, or the aim mechanics. Those visually remain unchanged. Um, One thing that I did take into account was the portal usage amount they plan on reducing, and a player's ability to see through portals has been completely removed. So now all you see is a blurred image when you see a portal. You can shoot through it, you can travel through it, but you can't see through it anymore. It's really blurry. It's just not the same. Um, Something that I felt was a neutral change during the playtest. They buffed, or at least it felt to me because I was on a controller. Um, I was having issues with my mouse and keyboard uh, button assignments, and as such, I was on controller, and I noticed that there was a considerable buff to aim assist on controller. How do I feel about this? As somebody who oscillates between controller and mouse and keyboard, I don't have any particular bones about this change. I kind of understand it to a degree. They don't want to isolate themselves to a particular player base. They want to try and open it up to everybody. So I get it. They're at kind of at their wits' end, and they're thinking of every idea possible. And aim assist and gunplay is kind of at the top of people's lists in terms of how a game should feel. So I understand why they might have buffed aim assist, and I understand why another player base is frustrated by this. Um, Something else that was sort of a neutral change to me, secondary and item choices that the development team considered redundant were removed for testing, and they said, quote, that this was not a final decision. But from what I have come to understand about playtesting this close to a re-release, it means that they don't plan on putting those items back in unless it happens in a later patch after the full release on the 17th. Okay. So whether you liked those items that they removed, I'm sorry. Uh if you liked using them, if you liked little different aspects of build crafting, and even though some of the items might have been redundant, they're probably not going to be in the mode when it comes back. Most likely. That's just from what I've learned from other experiences, or other videos that I've watched about playtesting and playtests this close to a game's full re-release. Um, Something else, the last thing that I thought was a neutral change was they went full they went all in on cosmetic changes, and the ability to earn and apply different cosmetics um to your character. And with that, I'm going to actually go into the first thing that I don't agree with changing. And they removed the class-based system and related teammate buffs in loadout selection related to this. Um, so this means that the sort of class specialist that you might have seen when the game originally released, like Arrows class or Sabras class or Meridian class, there's no difference now between the three characters. It's purely a cosmetic choice. Um, this takes away again from its individuality. It takes away from made the what made the game a unique choice, and I think it actually hurts the game. Um, and I say that because one of the gentlemen that I was playing with, he goes by the name Pro Reborn. I believe you can find him somewhere, either on YouTube, Twitch. He streams somewhere. He's a very good player. Used to be a COD player. Now he's an Activision hater. Used to work for them. Um, he plays a lot of Delta Force, but he's a good, really good first-person shooter player. And the one thing I kept hearing him say was that this game not only reminds him of Halo, but is essentially Halo with portals. And while some people might think that's a compliment, that worries me as a general statement. Um, why does that worry me as a general statement? Well, it worries me because Halo Infinite is being retired. Halo Studios is changing Halo's whole frame from what it was into something new. They're going to put a completely new game onto Unreal Engine, and as a bridge, they're going to remake Combat Evolved on Unreal Engine. So now Splitgate on its own, a game that looks, feels, plays, aims, has guns, cosmetics, everything, just like Halo, is going to eventually have to compete with the re release of Combat Evolved. And let me tell you how that's not going to go for them. Not well. So I feel like the removal of the class specialist system that put it in a category that was like Battlefield 6 or Rainbow Six Siege, because Rainbow Six Siege is very much an arena style game. So I kind of compare the two in this way. Um, Removing that aspect made it more just like Halo plus Portals. They removed the Battle Royale mode with no planned return. Again, considering the successes of Battle Royale modes in other games, I'm surprised by this. They didn't have to remove it outright. They could have tweaked the armor system just a little bit. They could have made it balanced, where instead of upgrading, you simply picked up armor plates in the field like you do in Warzone. That's what you have. They absorb a certain amount of damage. It affects your TTK to a point, and that's it. That's all they could have changed that, and they could have given players a portal gun when you drop in and a pistol and ability to loot like they always did. You could have kept the buy stations the same, removed the armor upgrade system obviously from the buy station, and guess what? You would have had a fantastic BR, but they planned on just removing it entirely. The patch notes say nothing of any return, and from what the people were talking about in the pre-play Q&A, they were more concerned with custom maps, which was, I consider that like a forge mode, more than they were concerned about um, something like a battle royale. But for me, I actually like battle royale modes, so I was sad to see it leave. I hope they eventually bring it back later, but again, they didn't say anything about it. They don't plan as of now to bring it back. Um, where do I finish with this? This is kind of a frustrating video, as you guys can tell. I wanted to be positive about this game. I wanted to say a lot of good things, but what I ended up doing is finding myself comparing and contrasting this game to others when it's in its survival mode. And what I've found is essentially that this game doesn't really have anything other than its portal mechanic to stand alone on. Um, if they do have a split ball mode, that might be its saving grace, because that was like a sort of Mario Party, goofy, fun capture the flag sort of mode. But again, that wasn't part of the playtest. And when something's not part of the playtest, more often than not, it's going to be removed from a game's re-release this close to that date. Um, so I'm hopeful that Splitgate 2 survives. I am also very nervous for the studio that produced I believe it's 1045 Studios. I'm very nervous for that company because when they released this game, their CEO came out with a hat on that said, make first person shooters great again. And what he's now, with a team of developers, created is basically a Halo Infinite clone with portals. And that to me is a disappointing revelation. Um, it's like they wanted it's like that was their plan when they rolled it back, and they just said they're not going to notice because, well, maybe our player base isn't as old as we are. Maybe they'll think it's nostalgia and they'll enjoy it. Yeah, some of your player base are going to think it's nostalgia and enjoy it. I think it's a good thing. People like me just think it's a detriment to game development because it's nothing new. It's just more of the same. And if it's more of the same, then you aren't delivering on the make first person shooters great again idea or promise or statement. You're doing the opposite in order to attempt to save yourself to make a profit. Um, and while that sounds like a scathing review, it might be. Um, the game on its own is still playable. It's still going to be fun for a certain subset of people and players. Um, I don't think it's going to see a big contingent of the hardcore professional uh, first person shooter players come and play it. I think the Halo Infinite community that is addicted to that style of play is going to enjoy this, and I think that's what the studio is banking on. I think they're banking on the casual player, the player that puts in 2 to 3 hours a day, maybe makes one small microtransaction a week, and just has a generally good feeling about playing their game is the player that they've targeted these changes for. I genuinely don't think that a professional player is going to or a pro first person shooter player like a Shroud, for example, is going to look at this game and be blown away or just want to play it instantly or be like, oh my God, this game is amazing, or, that it's not going to remind him of games of his past. And I think when you take that into account, I think that it was just, um, that's going to make it very odd for returning players. That brings me to my last point. What does all this mean for returning players? For returning players, some of you are going to be really happy, some of you are going to be pissed. I know this because I've actually had discussions about changes that could possibly be made in the game before they reverted to the beta. And we had passionate discussions about, well, we wanted all the weapons to be available on all the classes. I got feedback that was like, no, we do not want that. No, we do not want all the different weapons on all the different classes and yada yada. The people that I spoke with, played with consistently, daily almost, streamed with very consistently when it was worth streaming, um, gave me feedback that said we don't want um, all the characters to have all the access to all the guns. They liked the class system. Um, so people that liked it when it came out, sorry, it's gone. Have fun with the buildcraft system that you're gonna see when it comes out on the 17th. Um, Other stuff. People that liked the battle royale mode, it's gone. Sorry, they don't plan on bringing it back as of yet. You can play Battlefield 6, play other open world, open map games. This is not it. This is simply and purely an arena mode. This, to me, in closing, um, is Halo with portals. Um, and that to me makes it a little bit disappointing. It's not a bad game. it to me, it's a little bit like the Resident Evil 3 remake of first-person shooters. It's it's an okay game. Could it have been great if not so much was cut from it? Yes. It could have been great if not so much was cut from it. It could have been an absolute, complete, full game with multiple modes, all this stuff. And again, I could be wrong. In 6 months, 3 months, I could be eating these words because of an update that they plan on rolling in, battle royale mode again after a bunch of tweaks and all this stuff. That could be something. I don't know. But it doesn't seem that way. It didn't feel that way. The conversations, at least before we went into playtesting, weren't that way. And in full disclosure, I couldn't stay for the post play Q&A. I actually had to leave. I had to return to work. So that being said, I missed that second Q&A. However, and I want to kind of wrap this up. All that being said, I don't think missing that Q&A hurts my review um, of this playtest. And overall, I think the game is good, but I think it could have been improved by just keeping game modes in and making small tweaks. In my opinion, they achieved subtraction, or they achieved consolidation, certainly. Shouldn't say subtraction immediately. They achieved their goal, which was to consolidate their resources into one pot and put everybody in one direction and say this is where we're going. And obviously that was their problem, or they felt that that was their problem. But again, I come back to, if this is Halo with portals, then this new release is basically just the Resident Evil 3 remake of the Capcom series of remake games. And that's a not good sign. That's a bad sign for 1045 Studios. If that's how I'm thinking, and I know that there's going to be at least one other person that feels that way, um, it makes me nervous for the game because I do enjoy it regardless of what they changed. It's still a good game, like I said. That doesn't mean that a game like RE3 Remake is a bad game. It just means that if I'm putting Splitgate 2 in the same category, it's not good. It's not as good as it could be. It means too much was cut in an effort to try and to consolidate. So this update is going to make a lot of players happy. It's going to make a lot of Splitgate 1 veterans very pleased. It's going to also make a lot of Splitgate 2 new players that played it when it first released go the other way. Um, they may play it, they may not. The players that played it when they started might love the changes, they might not. This is very much a roll of the dice for 1045 Studios, and I feel like if this doesn't go well, if this game doesn't do what they need it to do on re-release, it's probably gonna it has the potential to end the studio. So I wish them the best. I wish them well. I'm gonna be playing the game. I will continue to review the game for as long as I feel those reviews are pertinent, because part of my start was on Splitgate as far as streaming is concerned. So you'll see more posts as more things happen through the Christmas weeks and New Year. But for now, that's my general review. Um, I didn't script this too much. This was just based on some notes that I came up with, based on some questions that I knew I was going to have. And if you think I'm generally disappointed with it, it's because I am. I think they took away too much. I feel like um, they took away the things that made Splitgate 2, and now what it is just a Halo Infinite clone. And you don't want to be a Halo Infinite clone when Halo Infinite just had its final update. And I'll leave you guys with that thought. Um, Tell me what you guys think in the comments.
Shoulder pads
Hmm.
with